Okay, now part two. I mean, we spent all the first part, and I'm sorry about that, but that is probably a lot clearer to me what you said there, by the way. This section, we're looking ahead, really, for the next 12 months. And you say you've got all this stuff with environment, and Boris Johnson's just announced they're going to have enough wind in the next 10 years to power the whole country. We're still waiting for anything over here. I mean, will this come under you to knit everyone together, all the MUA and those sort of things?
Absolutely, because this is the whole problem is that when you deliver on certain areas, might be delivered on policy, for example, around the climate change bill, but you have to get things done, and that's very much in the gift of both the MUA and the DOI, but there's also an economic benefit that we can deliver, and actually putting those things together in a climate change plan is really important, because COVID obviously it's been devastating, but climate change is 100,000 times worse.
Well, we've only got a year of this Parliament left. I mean, what are you going to be able to put your mark on this thing before the next election?
Absolutely, because what we're delivering is an action plan. So we're building that action plan up. We're also delivering.
How long does it take for this action plan? I mean, haven't we been talking about the environment absolutely since the beginning of this?
Well, no, you've already seen something. So, for example, you've seen the expressions of interest for renewable energy. So we're looking at those. That is massive, by the way. I mean, David Derricott, who runs a big PV, solar panel thing, he said this is huge. I mean, is it even doable? I mean, is that something that is likely to actually see the light of day? Just explain. It's a massive. How big a solar panel farm was it going to be? It's huge, right? I mean, it's big, but in one sense, if it was in the north of Ireland, it would be. It's not so big. It's a number of acres. It's I haven't got the exact figure, but it's
going to generate a lot of electricity.
More in a smaller space. So it's not swathes of the north going.
It's a serious bit of kit. That's what I understand.
Yeah, it's serious. But I mean, it will change things, because if we can deliver things renewable, it changes the whole concept of electricity.
I don't get stuck on this too much, but as far as the windmills out at sea, which we can now see all the UK ones at night here on the east coast, you can see them all. And they're blinking away with the little lights. I mean, they're right there, but we haven't got any yet. Is it going to happen in this tenure?
Well, it's going to happen in the next 5 years. That's the plan.
Yeah, but will you get something out there to say?
Well, hopefully, yes.
We've had Dong and all these people over the years.
I think the difference is there's a complete change of attitude, and also with respect to other onshore and so forth, that there's a real willingness to make this happen.
Okay. What else do you want to do in this time?
So. That's one part. Yep. One part is really sort of get a grip of our sort of community space and housing, and working with DOI on a national housing policy. Also, in terms of the economics, is actually build on that recovery plan, because obviously the economy has taken a big hit. So really working with Treasury and DfE on that, and obviously the health transformation, getting that through, and then
sounds like a lot.
There is, and actually it's a massive full plate, because obviously there's the Eastern Area Plan and all of the other, and getting the legislation, because we are because of COVID we had a massive delay, so we've got about 26 bills to get through this Parliament.
How are you enjoying things?
I'm absolutely loving it, because it's very much it uses the skills that I really enjoy. And it's a whole fresh perspective, and it really is one of the most crucial parts of government, for this government and for the next one, is how we can work better together, how we can actually deliver island outcomes, not infrastructure outcomes or health outcomes, but actually outcomes that are better for everyone.
What's your thoughts about the amount of people working for the government is now on the increase again, after being culled, admittedly quite heavily at one stage? How do you view that?
It's a difficult one, because I'm not so worried about numbers. Budget obviously is an issue. I think we've got a massive opportunity, and this is one of the areas that I'm involved in human resources, is around creating that one public service where you have virtual teams. What we did really well in COVID is we built teams from scratch within hours, and when they've done their job, they finished and went on to do something else, and massive productivity, rather than, if you like, we've so stayed in our sort of structure and our sort of almost constrained government, and creates these extra jobs that aren't always the best thing for the island. So if we can create a dynamic, flexible, because the public service is absolutely fantastic. What I've seen is the dedication of staff is absolutely amazing. But I think sometimes the structure, we hold people back. And I think if we can release and give people more freedom, then I think we can really move forward.
How does your constituency work? You've got two ministers involved, yourself and Mr. Boone. I mean, you just said you're massively busy by doing that job. How do you deal with your constituents?
Well, every day you deal with it, weekends, whenever. We're there primarily, for the island and for the
He's more
constituents.
Glenfaba, you're more Peel, right?
No, we're both the same. So basically we work really well together. So you
get like silt issues though, surely? I mean, that's silting in the harbour.
Well, at least for the first time it's actually been dredged.
That's a success story.
That is, absolutely.
Yeah,
because with all the pressure not to do that, we've actually dredged the harbour, and if the long-term measures are put in place, then that would be a great way forward. But we work together on the bank closures. We don't always see eye to eye on everything, but we always work together for the best. For the West.
Don't see eye to eye on everything. That's good. Well, I mean, interesting. I mean, it's a good, honest answer, right? Because everyone will tell me everyone's happy to Larry's. I mean, Comyn, tell me what goes on in there. Are you all singing from the same hymn sheet, or you're divided on the?
No, I think it's really refreshing. It's really refreshing that in Comyn we all have our views, and we do have some quite lively debates, but then when we make a decision, that's the decision, and that's always been clear. But I honestly think that it's really important. I've seen that in Tynwald, and it has been refreshing in the last in this 5 years that people much more go on the issue rather than using things that are nothing to do with it.
What's your personal position on the borders? More flexibility, keep them as they are, or shut them down further?
Like I say, I don't see evidence of the ability to live with the virus. If you look at, if you look at New Zealand or even Hong Kong and places like that, it's not something where you say, well, can we have a bit of it? So I'm very much more stronger on if you like, on.
So you wouldn't have had the key workers working on the railways, for instance.
Well, I'm much more stronger on the lockdown side of things.
So you're more for. No more.
Well, taking measured. You have to take some risks, but you have to be measured. So that's if you like, that's where I fall in the.
So no welders on the MU.
I mean, we're still looking at all the details. There's some question marks. There's some definite question marks about that.
To finish with, I'd like your sort of review of yourself. I have a number 1 to 10, if you don't mind, if you'd like to give me one on how you think you did last year.
So the way I see it is, in terms of departments, actually I think it's been a fantastic year. With COVID has really brought out the best in those areas that I've been leading. So actually I would give and I hate giving numbers, so I would actually give it a very, very good number, an 8 or a 9.
Fine, 8, 9. And how do you see the government, which you're obviously a part of, out of 10, the Howard Quayle administration?
A similar number, because the thing is, what you've got to remember is we're here for the people. So if you take education, if it's right to have that review, we've had that review. We're not in that sort of silo end. So it's a refreshing aspect of how we've actually dealt with issues. So from that point of view, transparency and honesty is really key. So
you're fired up and ready for an election to put your name forward if and when you feel the need to tell us.
I'm not declaring today.
No, I know you can't keep this because otherwise you get stuck. I understand that. But are you thinking about it? Will you let us know?
Yeah, of course I'll let you know.
But
my passions for delivering and helping the Isle of Man and just being there for people remains constant.
I should change the question to: are you not standing again? Because some people are saying like they're not. I mean, one has so far. But
well, I'm not.
You're not. I know. But how do you think?
So I'm fired up. Absolutely.